Okay. A brief history of the Global University Climate Forum. Our first effort to do this was in 2009. We convened about 50 students from 15 universities. This was not, we didn't consider it a pilot, we considered it just a one-time thing, where we invited students to get together for a day and brainstorm ideas about local action on their campuses in the context of the global negotiations. That was a particularly important time to do that because the global negotiations were rather famously disastrous. I personally had to wait in line in the snow for 8 hours just to get into the venue, and then the venue itself was a little bit chaotic. It was partly that way because they didn't anticipate that so many people would show up. More than twice the number of people that they thought would arrive arrived, and so it was pretty intense. But it was very rewarding to work with students for their own ideas. So we took that model and then we evolved it for Rio Plus 20. So that was the 20th anniversary of the 1992 summit, where a lot of major environmental decisions were made, and it was a stock take. And it honestly, candidly assessed the global actions on environmental priorities to not actually be sufficient enough. And so we did a similar workshop there. We had about 80 students from 19 universities from around the world. We got them together. And to be clear, we have done these events mainly for students who would be there anyway. Students really want to be a part of history. Those who are interested in activism and policy and action want to be a part of history. But then when you arrive at these venues, you find that it's actually a bunch of meetings with people talking frequently with closed doors. And so what we were trying to do is provide something that offered a bit more activity, a bit more action, and to connect students with one another. In that case, we co-hosted it with FGV, which is the business school there. And the remarkable thing there was that we gave out imaginary dollars to each of the teams because it was a business school that we were playing with. And the students were allowed to invest in one another's projects. And then the students that received the biggest investment won a book about climate action. So in 2015, we did it again, and in this case, we hit the ground running. We solicited proposals well in advance, like we did this time. We held a series of poster sessions. We had the students really connect with one another, give each other feedback. It was really inspiring to have the students connect, and then we asked them to report on their progress for the course of a year. We had about 50% of the teams continue to work on their projects, to connect with one another, to visit one another. It was absolutely wonderful. In that instance, we thought we had an enormous challenge because there was a terrorist attack a couple of weeks before the COP, so we had to change our venue. We lost a few of our teams. It was a little bit of a stretch to be able to complete it, and we thought we had really sort of knocked it out of the park, which we did. We got global press attention. We were invited to a special event at the Eiffel Tower, and it was a very successful event. So, of course, going into the 2020 events, I should say that we only do these events for major COPs, and for those who aren't particularly well versed in the policy narrative, not every single COP is a major decision-making COP. Especially for climate. When it comes to the climate COPs, it's every 5 years is when we're supposed to really see a major change in how things are done, which is why you see the sort of pacing of this. So we were planning for the 2020 COP, and a couple of things happened. First and foremost, of course, the 2020 COP was canceled. So now we're aiming to 2021. What this allows us to do that we weren't sort of able to do with previous COPs is it gives us a whole year to plan, and it gives us the opportunity to invite exciting projects and really measure and report on success, which we're very excited about. And the projects that we're seeing could not be more excited. The other thing that changed between Paris and now is that climate activism, particularly amongst the younger generations, is really at the fore. So Greta really changed the nature of climate activities on campus. We're seeing a lot more climate protests. We're seeing much more awareness of the imperative to act and to act urgently because of her activities and because of how her activities have inspired other members of this generation. So the purpose of our forum, we have several purposes. I should have put this in plural, but really the first and foremost is to share knowledge and refine tactics. So the sharing of knowledge, this is actually a spoiler alert. We'll be sending out an email later today. We have Christiana Figueres and Tom Rivets-Carnac have given us a special interview with one of our fellows. It's mainly about their book, which we sent you the link to in your acceptance note. Um, the future we choose. So they'll be speaking about climate optimism and giving us advice on how we can be effective change makers. Yes, I love that book too. Um, and so there, that first and foremost, we will be releasing later today. And I'll talk about how we want you all to connect on that topic in a little bit. And then you'll see the other speakers here. It's about a 50-50 split between the content drivers. So the people talking about urban issues and nature-based solutions and health, and then the tactics. So how to sustain yourself. Climate action is very stressful if you let it be. And there's a psychology of change management, and we can inspire one another and connect with one another. So those are the two sort of types of presentations. And I will say that this lineup, I am deeply grateful to every single speaker here and super excited. Natalia Scott and I will be on every single session, I believe, because we want to learn alongside all of you. But we're going to have some gaps that we'll be filling in later. So the other purposes, we do want you to connect with one another. We want you to share ideas, to support each other, to offer advice, to help you refine and adapt your ideas. Some questions came up in last night's session. Can you change your ideas? Can you evolve your ideas? Can you adapt your ideas? And the absolute answer is 100% yes. We are here to inspire, change, and inform. And that doesn't happen if you stick with one idea and don't update your ideas. The other thing that we're really excited about is we want to expand impact, share resources, and build momentum outside of the forum. So the expanding of the impact, we're hoping to give you all a platform and a voice and to connect you all with other like-minded efforts. And I personally am involved with a couple of other university-oriented efforts, and I am delighted that those who are involved with the effort that Laval University in Quebec is leading. Many of those joined this particular program, and they're complementary to one another. We do not compete. We are all in this together. So that's connecting with other efforts. And I have a video. We're going to see it did not work last night, but hopefully it'll work tonight, this morning for me. Let's see. Good. Okay, thank you for letting me know it's working.
So ladies and gentlemen, at TED we talk a lot about leadership and how to make a movement. So let's watch a movement happen, start to finish, in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons from it. First, of course you know, a leader needs the guts to stand out and be ridiculed. But what he's doing is so easy to follow. So here's this first follower with a crucial role. He's going to show everyone else how to follow. Now notice that the leader embraces him as an equal. So now it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Now there he is calling to his friends. Now if you notice that the first follower is actually an underestimated form of leadership in itself. It takes guts to stand out like that. The first follower is what transforms a lone nut into a leader. And here comes a second follower. Now it's not a lone nut, it's not two nuts, 3 is a crowd, and a crowd is news. So a movement must be public. It's important to show not just the leader, but the followers, because you find that new followers emulate the followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, and immediately after, 3 more people. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point. Now we've got a movement. So notice that as more people join in, it's less risky. So those that were sitting on the fence before now have no reason not to. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, but they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. So over the next minute, you'll see all of the those that prefer to stick with the crowd, because eventually they would be ridiculed for not joining in. And that's how you make a movement. But let's recap some lessons from this. So first, if you are the type, like the shirtless dancing guy, that is standing alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals. So it's clearly about the movement, not you. Okay, but we might have missed the real lesson here. The biggest lesson, if you noticed, did you catch it? is that leadership is overglorified. That yes, it was the shirtless guy was first, and he'll get all the credit, but it was really the first follower that transformed the lone nut into a leader. So as we're told that we should all be leaders, that would be really ineffective. If you really care about starting a movement, have the courage to follow and show others how to follow. And when you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first one to stand up and join in. And what a perfect place to do that, Ted. Thanks.
So I hope that makes sense. And I'm glad that I'm seeing in the chat that people have seen it before, that they love it. And I think it makes 100% sense. If anyone wants the link, just let us know. We can share it with you. But yes, followers are key for a movement. And if we're all trying to lead our own thing, then we're going to step on each other's toes pretty much. So again, think about how you can collaborate with one another. Think about how our program can collaborate with other programs. Think about how we can all work together. So purpose number 4 of this program is to elevate the role of higher education and the potential of youth leaders. I was on a call with the UNFCCC this morning, which is the organizing group for the climate COP, and they really don't have a category. I said, are we in civil society as higher education, or are we in youth as higher education? And they said, well, we really don't have the answer to that. So I feel like we have an opportunity with this program to prove that we are the knowledge sector. This is really important to me because at universities, of course, we research, we test things, we develop new solutions. We can be problem centric. We can focus on problems and bring all the disciplines together. We're hoping that your teams are from different disciplines, but we're also the place where people can have honest conversations, which is a very important part of finding solutions. And of course, you all are here. We are here because we are working with the next generation of leaders, of voters, of parents, of consumers, of change makers. And so this is a really important sector that we really think needs to be acknowledged. So this is a huge part of what we're going to be doing with this forum. In terms of partners and people, this is a short section, but just to acknowledge that we have an extraordinary array of partners, both funding partners and intellectual partners. University of Edinburgh has been an extremely strong partner. All of the members of the International Alliance of Research Universities have been terrific. Yale is, of course, giving a lot of in-kind support through its team, and I'll tell you more about that in a moment, but also through its alumni. As you all graduate, you become alumni, and you have the opportunity to continue to connect with the place that shapes you as a professional, and I encourage you to do so. UMass Boston has been an extraordinary partner through all of these activities and more. So these are some of our extraordinary partners. The Environmental Association of Universities and Colleges has been a really extraordinary partner in helping us to build a network to create our network, which has been a wonderful experience. And they will be rebroadcasting many of our sessions during their conference next week. Just a quick shout out to our steering committee. You'll see in our steering committee, we are geographically represented. We do not have any 2 steering committees from the same continent, which we did on purpose. We really wanted to ensure that we had a diversity of geographic distribution, but also these folks are, half of them are sustainability staff members at universities, and the other half are teaching professionals. And then they also come from varied backgrounds. So we have architecture, engineering, human rights, healthcare, ecology, you name it, it's in there. We chose them on purpose. They've been advising us and guiding us all the way through. We also have, of course, our organizers. My background is that I worked for the United Nations Development Program for a few years, and I've worked with several other UN entities over the years. I've been at Yale for quite a few years, but I went from doing global policy to local action when I transitioned to the Office of Sustainability in 2009. And that is my passion point, global policy, local action. Natalia, who is also on the call today, was at the she was at the Rio event, and she was at the Paris event as a student, and is now a teaching faculty member at a university in Colombia, if anybody's there from Colombia. And she was with the public sector for some time. She's now a data scientist who works really hard on accountability in multilateral environmental agreements. Scott, who introduced you today, you already know, he's our outreach manager. He's our God guy. He has two degrees in divinity and is also our tech guru. Ashley, you will meet later in the program next week, um, is one of our fellows. She is a specialist in urban issues as well as she's very well versed in social issues. Nivanthi has a degree, a science degree from Princeton and a music degree from Yale, also one of our fellows. And then finally, Dallas is a colleague of ours from an organization called Trust for Change, and she's an expert in organizing movements. So that's the diversity of perspective we brought to the organization team. Again, intentionally, we want to be able to support every member of every student participant in every way possible. We also have, of course, a team of mentors that we're putting together. There we go. So participants, this is you all, and there are now, how many of you on the phone? 86 of you on the line. So participants, as you all know, we had you apply in certain tracks. So inspiration and empowerment, ideas into action, governance and policy innovation, and innovation and imagination, which is the category for those who didn't feel like their project fit into the other boxes. This is what the distribution looks like. So almost 50% are ideas into action, which is great. Inspiration and empowerment is about 30%, which is also terrific. And of course, they're all terrific. We love you all. Track 3, governance and policy innovation, is 11%. And track 4, those who do not like to color inside the lines, is about 12%. So we're really excited to see this distribution. We're also really excited that we have about 500 of you. About 500 of you from, oh my goodness, look at this map, how many countries? As I said earlier, Mexico is very strongly represented. We had a remarkable, there must be something in the water in Mexico that is very excited for climate action, because we are blessed with many from Mexico, but also our geographic distribution is quite exciting. So in terms of the steps for you all, this is an important part of the program. Of course, you applied, you were accepted. Some questions came up last night. There were comments from the reviewers on some of the applications. We will be processing those comments. Our first priority was to send out the acceptances and get everybody signed up and make sure that the program for next week is all set. We're now starting to take a closer look at the comments from the reviewers. If you receive comments from your reviewer, you will receive them probably the week after the big events. Those who requested mentors, we will also be matching mentors after the next week's events. Each of you is required to attend at least 3 workshops. We will be keeping track of those, both through the surveys that you complete and through the registrations. We ask that you implement your project and report monthly. So starting after next week's events, we want to hear from you on a regular basis. We are currently testing the platform that we are going to commit to. So I'm not going to say the name of the platform just yet, because I want to make sure it works before I announce it. But we will be having a platform where you can post pictures, where you can post updates, where you can check in with each other, and ideally where you could chat with each other. We will be asking you for a final report, and that part is important, and I'll tell you why in just a few minutes. So our expectations for you as participants, and again, please feel free to put questions into the Q&A. But first of all, first and foremost, practice respect. Be curious, be patient, and no grandstanding. For those who don't know what, yes, group Slack is something that we have considered, Jeffrey. Thank you. We may go with Slack, depending, but yes. So no grandstanding. The important thing about grandstanding, for those who don't know this term, it means when you get up and you have such a great idea, you just want to tell everybody about it, and you do so without necessarily listening or sharing. And it is a way that sometimes overwhelms the conversation and may make others feel hesitant to speak. So we ask that you try to be mindful of when you're overusing your voice. Responsibilities, and I do hope that the pictures are making people smile, because they make me smile. My first love is definitely animals. Responsibilities. Please attend the meetings that you've signed up for. The speakers are very excited. We have, oh, good. Thank you, Katerina. They are very excited, and we worked hard to build a very diverse lineup. We ask that you complete the surveys that we're sending out to you. We're sending out surveys before and after because this is such a large group and the time zones are so varied that many people are having to participate asynchronously. Those surveys are a way for us to connect the participants with the speakers. So they're very important. Both the before survey and the after survey are important for those sessions that have surveys. Report on your progress as you're doing your projects. We approved your project because we love it and we think it's going to make a difference in the world. Oh, how many groups are? Uh, yes, great question, and that should go in the Q&A. But yes, report on your progress. So the answer to the question of how many groups there are, I apologize, I skimmed over that. That was back here. 104 universities represented, um, and we can give you more data on that as well. Um, so then in terms of connecting with one another, that's what we'll do through the group platform. And as Jeffrey's pointed out, Slack is a possibility. We do have another platform that we're testing out that's a slightly more sophisticated option. So we'll let you know within the next week. Forum sessions. There are different types of sessions. So the main session you'll see for the coming week is the webinars. The webinars, as I mentioned, please do the surveys before and after. The webinars will also, we will be posting resources to our website that connect to the content of the webinars. Much of the time those are resources that are curated by the speakers themselves. We will be trying to keep it up to date on a regular basis. The literacy training, we have over 200 students signed up for literacy training. As a reminder, the sessions that will be offered on November 12th and November 10th next week there are 2-hour sessions. It's an 8-hour program overall. So if you've signed up, for example, cohort 1, which is the cohort that begins on November 10th, you will be expected to attend 3 more sessions after the week of the 9th. Most people have responded to that they understand that, but I'm just clarifying because at the end, if you've completed all 8 hours, you're eligible to apply for a certificate in carbon literacy. And this is a really wonderful program offered by University of Nottingham that really gives people the opportunity it's a train the trainer program. It really helps give you the tools to communicate to others about carbon. We do have our pre-recorded keynote from Christiana and from Tom. It's about half an hour. We'll send out the link. We are going to put some times on the calendar. The question of how we get to know one another. We will put some times on the calendar where, oh, Olivia, you still don't understand the carbon literacy? Is that what you're asking about? Just go, okay. So I will send clarification about carbon literacy, but basically it's 8 hours. The first session is next week and it's 2 hours. And then we'll offer another 2-hour session in November, another one in December, and one in January. If you sign up for one of those sessions in next week, either on the 10th or on the 12th, then you're automatically in a cohort and we'll automatically invite you to the other sessions. So hopefully that helps to clarify. If not, Olivia, go ahead and email us and we can give you more of an explanation in writing. The pre-recorded keynote, we will put leaderless meetings on the calendar where it's an opportunity for you all to just jump in and talk amongst yourselves. There will literally be no agenda for those meetings. It will literally be that you all get to talk to one another. And it's specifically about the keynote. Leadership opportunities. Those who are enrolled in the carbon literacy training, we're going to be reaching out to ask if anyone wants to volunteer as a facilitator for some of the upcoming sessions. That's our first leadership opportunity. As we head into the implementation phase, we are going to invite you all to propose topics and lead your own meetings amongst your peers. Again, this is where we're looking to you all to connect with one another. We're going to give you the opportunity, we'll give you the platform, but it's less about me talking because I'm already doing quite enough of that. And it's more about you all getting to know one another, getting to share your ideas and getting to brainstorm. And then future sessions. I put this in there because there were a couple of topics and a couple of speakers that we really wished we could have included in next week's program. The schedule filled up. and we weren't able to connect with the right people for some of the topics. So we hope that we will be able to provide some additional programming going into the spring here, fall in other parts of the world. So then the last piece of this puzzle is just final outcomes. The final outcomes, um, this is the timeline. We've already gone through this a little bit, but we've already passed the deadline for submissions. Thank you for everyone who applied, and congratulations for being accepted. The workshops are taking place next week. Then you will launch your project. We ask you to report every month for 6 months. Those reports, it's not a 20-page paper. It's a few lines about your progress. If you have any challenges you'd like to address, any successes you'd like to celebrate, this is the opportunity to do it. Keep it fun, keep it light, keep it short so that people are very interested. Use pictures. I love pictures, in case you couldn't tell from my presentation. And then final reports are due in May. The final reports being due in May is very important to us because we will be, over the course of the summer, using them as the foundation for our final publication. The final publication will be issued in November in time for the COP. We will, of course, have to see what happens with COVID and with the COP, but we do plan to launch it in time for the COP, no matter what, whether it's at an in-person event or at an online event. It will be an online publication. We do not expect to issue a physical book. This is partly because it's environmentally responsible to do it as an online publication. It makes it a more accessible option, and also it allows people to translate real time. I've done a couple of online publications this way about the Sustainable Development Goals, and it's really helpful for somebody to be able to translate the document with the push of a button. The final thing that will happen, we are partnering with University of Edinburgh and with the organizers of the COP to showcase this work. And again, we're building the case for the knowledge sector, but we're also highlighting and celebrating the role of youth leadership as we enter into the COP. So that is the final sort of piece of that puzzle. We do hope that there is an enduring network of professionals that emerge from this activity. We hope that every single person who participates has the opportunity to connect with like-minded peers around the world and create something new and extraordinary in that regard. So this brings me to Q&A. Let me just get to the Q&A box. And okay. So the pre-session survey for the carbon literacy workshops. There will be some read ahead material. You will receive that later today. We did not, yes, so that is a slightly different, that is an interactive section. The session is the first session will be next week. There will be breakout rooms of 5 to 6 people. So you will have a chance to connect with one another there. The future, we don't need facilitators for that one, but we do need facilitators for the next one. Can we attend the forum? The forum is this program overall, and then the sessions next week are I apologize, I'm trying to read questions and talk at the same time. That's not a great way to multitask. The sessions next week are the heart of the forum, and then you all are part of the forum on an ongoing basis. And let's see, Jeffrey, the time period to register and for the calls ended. One of our teammates hasn't registered. Oh no. Yes, have that teammate email us. We can fix that. At COP26. So the answer to the question about COP26, that's a great question. So yes, my hope is that we will have a live event. My hope is that COVID is solved. My hope is that the presidential election is actually called. In answer to whether or not you can attend the session live in 2021, the answer is maybe. I am keenly aware that flying from all over the world to attend a climate COP is a little bit ironic. And so we encourage people to continue to be mindful about air travel as air travel becomes a possibility again. So the answer is, if you are fairly local, if you are going to be there anyway, then we would definitely invite, yes, we should all sail to Glasgow. I love that idea. I'm gonna start building my boat now. But yes, we should all continue to be mindful about air travel. So we do plan to have an event. We do not want people going all the way to Glasgow unless they're in Edinburgh for and taking the train. Taking the train, if it's a sustainable form of transport, is effectively the answer. We don't want to be exclusive, so whatever event we do, we will broadcast and we will try to make it as inclusive and celebratory as possible. Um, and how do you find out who entered the session? So when we sent you your acceptance letters, we asked you to send a picture. We hope that you sent us a picture of something that makes you happy, whether it's your smiling faces or a picture of your campus or a picture of a tree or a koala or a shoe, whatever it is that you think signifies your team, please send us a picture. We do hope to create community in the site that we are going to curate for you all. We will also be adding to the forum website descriptions of each project so that you can have a physical presence in the world. Okay, so if you did not, Naomi, I saw your email about carbon literacy. So if you did not receive, if you registered for carbon literacy but did not receive an invite, please let me know, and um, we can set that up for you. Um, and yes, all the groups will be listed on social media and on the website. There was a question on the site on the call last night about social media. There is interest in a Facebook group. Um, the Facebook group is a possibility if that is the most popular platform. I'm a little bit concerned about Facebook because I know it's not accessible in 100% of countries. I personally prefer LinkedIn because it is a professional platform that can serve you well and help you to build your professional network as you go on after you graduate. There is a LinkedIn group um, called Global University Climate Forum. Please feel free to A, connect with me on LinkedIn, and B, join that group. Your role between May 21st and November 21st. That's a great question. We have not actually forecasted that. However, the organizers of the COP are encouraging us to think to the COP and beyond. So I think we should, as a group, brainstorm that. As much as I enjoy telling people what to do, I also enjoy hearing great ideas from other people, particularly people who are directly involved. You all are our stakeholders, so let's figure that out together. The leaderless meetings is a great question. The leaderless meetings is a concept that I borrowed from Harvard University. Those who know Yale and Harvard have probably heard that we have a very contentious relationship. The honest to goodness truth is that when it comes to sustainability, they're some of my best friends. They are absolutely brilliant. So, and they have this idea where they put in a meeting on the calendar and then just open it up for people to talk to one another. So what the leaderless meetings are and will be is literally, here's a topic, please discuss amongst yourselves. There is no agenda, there is no objective. It's really about connecting and about sharing ideas. Let's see, is there one group per university? The answer is no. We do have several universities that had several really extraordinary ideas. Included among those are University of Edinburgh, UC Berkeley, UNAM in Mexico. So I think we have some really great opportunities for collaboration. Um, and I see Nadia have a question. I could not send my question, so please go ahead and put it in the chat. I'm reading them as fast as I can. They're coming in very quickly. Um, and then, sorry for a second question. Still sign up for literacy? Yes. Okay. So if after this call you've heard me explain the literacy program, please email me. Let's see. Yes, this is for Natalia. Sorry, I apologize. Yes, so please email us. Either you see in the chat, Natalia Escobar Pemberthy is the person who's been updating the literacy training. You can either email her or me, or both. And if you email me for literacy, I will send it to her. She will sign you up. Um, and I think I've gotten almost have links across to access the different sessions, but not the surveys. So you should have received an email yesterday with the surveys. If you have not received surveys, please email me and we will fix that. Um, the different parts of the report. So the reporting itself, we will send, pardon me, the reporting, we will give you prompts for reporting, and it will generally be what has been some of your recent successes. Have you had any challenges? Can you share an image? And again, it's authentic to you. Some of you are joining us with projects that were already underway. Some of you are very, very new to the climate action narrative, and some of you have been doing this since you were in grade school. We are coming at this from different places, so we expect that the project reporting will reflect that we're coming at this from different places. If you are joining us from, say, Yemen, your narrative is probably different than if you're joining us from Mexico City or from Berkeley. It's really going to be different. And we really want to celebrate every single project in its own right. In terms of the final report, we will absolutely provide a template that will tell you exactly the elements that we need, exactly how many words we need, etc. Um, and I think I've almost cleared all of the questions. Um, the sixth member of your team, Fabio, please tell the sixth member of your team. Oh, you emailed me and you haven't received a follow-up. I apologize. Fabio, I'm making a note of that. We can definitely connect with your team. Um, okay. Are there any other unanswered questions? Looks like there might be one more. Um, yes. The Climate Learn group that we did. So the part of the reason that we restricted the groups to 6 is because it's a manageable team size. You will have noted that in the proposal we solicited from you, number one person who is accountable, and we suggest that when it comes to things like interacting with us, that the accountable person take the lead on communications if possible, unless one of your R's is your communication people. The R's, so that's the accountable, that's A. The R is the responsible group, and every single person on your team who's playing an active role should be considered responsible. It helps to identify who's doing exactly what. So maybe one person's doing communications, one person is doing email design or whatever it is. Make sure that everybody understands their exact role. Then there's a larger group of consulted people, and frequently that's your peers, but it can also be administrators in your institution. It can also be other people in this forum, other people in this group. And then there's informed. Please do keep your university administrators, your advisors, etc., informed of what you're doing. We don't want any of this to be a surprise. This should be a positive experience for all who are involved. If you applied for an exception and you have not heard, please just shoot us a note. We are actually emailing with not only the 490 accepted members, but also those who were not accepted. So our inboxes have been a little bit full. I apologize if we've missed an email or two. Are you going to get feedback on your reports? If you solicit feedback on your reports, we can try to give you feedback. There will be a lot of reports. So my hope is that you will all give feedback to one another. Those who have requested mentors will probably receive feedback directly from their mentors. Does the first report have to be sent on December 1st? I hope not. I think you guys need a little bit more time to absorb things. We will probably be soliciting the updates mid-December. We are aware that many campuses go on break for Christmas leave, so we'll try to solicit before then, but mid-December, and even if it's just to say, hey, just checking in, we haven't done anything active yet, but here's the steps we have taken to prepare to act, that's absolutely fine. Can you change your leader? Yes, absolutely. So just to be clear, uh, the person in the A category, so the accountable person, is what the person that we expect to be primarily corresponding with If that person, for whatever reason, cannot play that role, absolutely. Do whatever you need to do in order to make it a positive experience for all involved. The leaderless meetings are open to absolutely everyone. That is not restricted to just the leader. What I mean by leaderless is that there will be a topic, but there's nobody sitting in this seat saying, "Okay, everybody, today we will talk about this." The leaderless meetings is literally, "Hey, we're going to talk today about food and your food choices." And then everybody gives their ideas on what it is to connect food with climate and why it's important. But it's not a structured thing with a determined outcome. That's why that one is important. Um, okay, any other questions? The leaderless meetings will be, there will be more information on the leaderless meetings after next week. The first set of those will be about the talk that you will receive, the keynote about this book will be sent out, and the leaderless meetings, we will put those on the calendar, um, and you all will be able to log in and talk to one another without me. I may be on the call because I'm the host. A book. What book? Oh, Olivia, I'm sorry, I went too quickly. This is the book. Um, this book was, we sent it to you in your acceptance letter. This is a book that was written by Christiana Figueres and Tom Rivet Karnak. They are the people who orchestrated the Paris Climate Accord. They are now really extraordinary champions for an optimistic view of the future. We will be sending you a pre-recorded talk that they gave specifically for the forum on climate optimism and why it is effective. It is an interview with one of our fellows, Ashley Jankowski, and they did a wonderful job of really specifically tailoring their climate optimism message to the members of the forum. So it's a really it's a really great opportunity to hear from some extraordinary climate luminaries. Um, the answer to all questions about changing teammates, I'm not going to say who's asking those questions about changing teammates, but yes, you may change your teammates, you may add teammates, you may, if things are not working, um, and if things are not working particularly well, if you need to adjust in any way, yes, you absolutely may. Just keep us informed of what's going on, so we are mindful and we are inclusive. Um, the book, by the way, I saw the comment about it's really good, just 160 pages. Also, if you enjoy audiobooks, the authors read it themselves, which is a wonderful experience. Besides the possibility of getting a certificate for carbon literacy, yes. Oh my goodness, Alejandra, thank you for asking that question. Um, the book, Olivia, the question about the book, you received it in your invite, but we'll send it again. That's a great prompt. So in terms of the certificate, if you did apply, you've got step 1. If you attend at least 3 workshops, you've got step 2. If you report every month for 6 months, you've got step 3, and step 4 is your final report. We anticipate in May that we will issue a certificate to everyone who completed all 4 of those. To the question about adding a teammate, it is possible to add a teammate. We will talk about the honor system for they have to at least view 3 of the sessions and reflect on 3 of the sessions, because this is not just about you putting your project out there and then just doing it. We want your projects to benefit from the programming that we're putting together. We want your projects to evolve, and we want to create this network. So if you complete all 4 of those steps, then we will issue you a certificate that says you've completed it. You will also, of course, be featured in our book, which I am very excited about. In terms of making amendments to your projects, absolutely. I seriously hope so. Um, there are really wonderful ideas have come into us. I will say some of the ideas that we approved are way too big to be done over 6 months, and we expect that those students will will A, listen to some of the speakers next week and have ideas for freshening them up, but B, realize that over the course of 6 months, there's only so much you can do, especially since there's a holiday in there and we're in COVID times. So we expect that the really big projects may be narrowed down. We expect that the fairly modest projects may be scaled up. We expect that some of the projects will encounter barriers. And we hope that you will find ways to navigate around them and definitely update your ideas. Adaptation is key, and adaptation is something that we can do much more nimbly at this scale with this leadership than we can at, say, the global scale or at the federal scale, um, as we're all learning as the US has dropped out of the climate accord. Um, is there a deadline for answering the workshop surveys? The pre-workshop surveys we were hoping you would answer by yesterday. If you have not, that is okay. Please still complete them. The answers that we have as of this morning will go directly to the speakers. That's why we gave you that deadline. Many of the speakers are looking forward to reading what you've written about as they do their sessions. However, that doesn't mean you should not still do the surveys. We would like 100% participation in both the pre-session and post-session surveys because we are hoping to be able to call on some of that data without identifying individuals. We are hoping to call on some of that data to inform some of the narrative that will go into our final publication. Okay, I think that I have answered all of the questions that I can see here. Um, I'm just double checking. Um, yes, okay, so the question about the mentors. Um, so the question about the mentors, and then the question from Derek, I'll get to in just a moment. The mentors, yes, if you have requested a mentor, we are going to be matching mentors. We'll be doing that in the background next week. Anybody who's received, we'll go basically each team after next week's set of events. Each team that's requested either a mentor or had feedback from the reviewers will receive another email with both of those informations, with information about both of those topics. In terms of presenting at the forum in November 2021, that's a great question. My hope is that we will be able to feature to showcase well, first of all, we'll obviously be showcasing all of the teams that successfully complete their projects in the online publication. We are hoping that it is an interactive and dynamic presentation. We're working with the organizers of the UNFCCC and with the University of Edinburgh to come up with the actual platform, the actual way that we'll be announcing the completed project and sharing success. At the very least, I hope that we can have video presentations from each team that's successful, but it will also depend on the timing and the format. So there's a lot to be seen there. I do hope on an ongoing basis that you all get to connect with each other. So if there's appetite for, say, students presenting their ideas to one another in sort of TED Talk format or uh, in TED Talk format or in PechaKucha format so that there's an idea to brainstorm and to give feedback and to share, I think that's a great opportunity as the forum gets underway. Okay, so with that, I will end the presentation and at least I'll try to. I will thank you all for your participation today, and I will look forward to seeing some of you. I will be, the only time you'll see me next week is during the climate literacy workshops. I'll be introducing the climate literacy workshops, but other than that, I will be behind the scenes, as will Natalia be behind the scenes. We've done that intentionally so that we can help to answer questions and make sure that everyone has the resources they need. Please feel free to reach out to us. You may hear from Natalia, you may hear from Scott, you may hear from John Michael, who is the student support for this particular program, and you may hear from one of our other fellows. Do be patient because we are getting a lot of emails, but we will try to make sure that everybody has the resources that they need. Thank you so much. And thank you for I'm really excited too. And I'm glad you enjoyed the orientation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate every one of you and have a fantastic day.